All right, we're going to be starting with lesson 12 today. This one is focusing on using your keyboard to input different information into your code to be able to activate or start your sprites to do something. So let's go ahead over to code.org. We're going to start by using the key down block. So again, make sure you read through our overview. And then let's go ahead and make our first prediction. So the key down block is the first of a set of blocks that will let us get input from the user. This is the first step on our road to actually making games. See if you can predict how the key down block works. You will not write any code. So just here, take a look at the code, predict what you think is going to happen when you put the key down. Make sure after you run it, you tell me what happens when you do press the space bar with the code running. And then we will go ahead and move to number 3. Okay, so number 3, add your block inside this if statement. So we're still going to be using those if statements, those conditionals. So this time it's going to be if we have a key down, so now the condition, if this key is pressed, something is going to happen. So what goes inside of it is what is going to happen. So we saw in the last level that key down returns true while you are holding a key down and false when the key is not being pressed down. So that's how we can use it in conditional. The input for the key down command is the name of key you want to check in quotes. Some examples are X, up, and space. So X would be the actual X key, up would be the up arrow on your keyboard, and space would be your space bar. We can use key down as an input in an if statement to change your animations based on key presses. So do this, run the code, and try pressing P and H. So if I push the P, I now get the pig. If I push the H, I get the hippo. There it goes. So P is pig, H is hippo. Okay, for some reason I didn't see it change. Look inside the if statements to see how the code works. So if we have key down for H, we have sprite set animation is changed to hippo. With the P, sprite set animation is set to pig. Okay, add a block inside the third if statement to change the animation to a different animal. So I'm going to need a set animation under my sprites. Bring that over. So let's pick an animation. So the key is for R, so let's go ahead and pick rabbit. So reset, run it. So P should be the pig, H should be the hippo, and then R, we should now see the rabbit appear. And challenge, when you use set animation, it keeps the new animation until you change it again. Can you change the code so that the sprite will automatically go back to a giraffe when you're not holding one of the keys down? I will give you a hint. You'll have to add an else. Okay, so see if you can go ahead and try that challenge. Let's move on to step 4, or part 4. Moving sprites. You can change your sprite's position based on key presses in the same way you change its animation. All right, we've got a code that's going to be continuing on, so let's make sure we get this right before we move on. So add an if statement inside your draw loop, okay? Check whether the right arrow key has been pressed down. Add code inside the conditional to move the sprite right if the right arrow is down, okay? So it looks like we want to put our if statement right here, so let's go to our controls. Here is our if statement. So if, check the right arrow. So I'm going to go to world, find my key down, that goes in my if statement. So if key down, which one do we want? We want the right one, so let's change that. And then add in code inside the conditional to move the sprite right. So anytime we're talking about sprite movement, we're talking about that counter pattern. And again, to move to the right, what's changing? Our X or our Y, and I can see that the X is changing on my screen over there, in case you forget. Okay. Don't forget, you need to rename your sprite, whatever the name of your sprite is up here, the variable. So let's change sprite to bug. And then I need, again, to go to the right, my numbers are getting larger. So I'll need to go to math and go to add. And again, my sprite, I'm going to be adding on to the sprite X I already have, which is now bug x plus, let's do 2. So again, remember, the bigger the number, the more it's going to move. So if I run, there's my ladybug. Now if I push my right, there he goes, all the way off the screen. Now right now, that's all he can do. He can only move right. Later on, we'll be able to move him in any direction. Moving on to part 5. Okay, the fish are back. Can you make the fish move left only when the left arrow key is pressed down? So right now they're running, but we only want it when it is down. Add an if statement to check when the left arrow key is pressed down. Move the commands for moving the fish inside the if statement. So let's go back to control. Let's add our if statement. And we only want them to move when the left arrow is pushed. So let's go to world, key down. Let's change up to left, or you can always just type it in. Okay, if I move 1 in and run it, you'll notice the orange one is not moving until I am now pushing the left arrow. If I'm not pushing it, it doesn't move. But we need that with all of them. So I'm going to highlight, drag them all into the same if statement. Since they're all moving on the same condition, they can all go into the same if statement. Okay, so now they're still. Now I'm going to push that left arrow. There they go. Only when I'm pushing that left arrow. And I believe there is a question for you. So how many if statements did you need? And tell me why. All right, so they're going there. Continue on to part 6. Okay, gears. Remember our gears we had? So let's make the gears spin only when the key space is being held down. Add an if statement. Use key down as input to the if statement to check when the space key is pressed. Move the code that makes the gears rotate inside the if statement. Okay, so again, add an if statement. So let's put that, it's always going to be in our function, our draw loop. Use key down as input. That's under world. Key down to the if statement to check when the space bar is pressed. So let's change up to space. And then same thing, I want all of this code to be added into there because I want all of them to move when the space bar is pushed. Okay, so again, I'm running it, not moving, space bar down. Now they move. No space bar, okay? Because that's what we're setting our condition to be. Okay, part 7 is the assessment for this one. Okay. Once you've got your sprite moving in one direction by responding to a key down, getting it to move in all 4 directions should be more of the same. The basic keyboard control that you're developing here will become the basis for many of the games you make down the road. So do this. The bug sprite you made, so this is the one with the ladybug we've already done, has exactly what I put in before. So the bug sprite you made that responds to the right arrow has been brought to this level. Add the interaction for the other 3 keys. So add 3 if statements, 1 for each arrow. So let's start with that. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Don't forget to include a comment for each statement. So if what? So we were going to need a key down for in all of those, and in which direction is it going to be going? Each if statement should move the sprite in a direction of the arrow. So when I push the right arrow, it moves to the right. Oh, it's not going to run it because I have stuff not in there. Okay. When I push the up arrow, it should move up. Okay, so hint, make sure you consider both the X and your Y. Remember, X is still our horizontal. That's not going to change. Y is still our vertical. All right, so if I'm going to go up, that's our vertical, so your Y is going to change. But you have to figure out, are you adding or subtracting? So since this is an assessment, I'm going to let you finish that one on your own. Okay, part 8 is a little information about editing images, okay? So once you put an image in there, it doesn't have to stay the same. And we're going to look at that in this next level. So pay attention to the copy. We're going to need to know how to flip it, and we're going to need to know how to rotate our images in the animation tab. So make sure you read through that and understanding where all of that is. That leads us to part 9. This is like a little mini assessment. So you should have I'm going to remove these. All your if statements for, I'll leave that one there. For your ladybug that you did 2 parts ago. So I'm going to change this back to bug so I can at least show you a little bit. Equal, so you can see how it copied exactly what I had over before. This one is a Y because we're going to go up. So sprite needs to be bug minus, and we'll keep it the same speed at 2. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the animation. And I'm not using the fly or the bee, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. If you want to switch to one of those, that's fine too. But I'm only going to keep what we're going to be using. So first, you're going to want to duplicate or copy this ladybug, 1 for each direction. I'm going to change it to ladybug to right, up, so I know when I'm selecting it which direction we're going. Down, and we need a left. Because remember, when you go to select your animation, it puts the name that's found right here. All right, so right now, our right ladybug is facing to the right. Let's go to our left ladybug. This is an easy one. We want him to face to the left. So I'm going to use that flip vertically. And if I just click that, simply, now he's moving in the other direction, okay? Our up and down, we're not going to be able to do quite as easily. So instead, I'm going to do a rotate. Now he's facing up. To get him to face down, I'm going to rotate again. He's facing up, to the left, and down. All right, so now you can see we have a right-facing ladybug, an up-facing, a down-facing, and a left-facing ladybug. So now if I go back to my code, I want to change it also, my set animation. So now if I go to ladybug, I should have a right, up, down, or a left. So I want it to start automatically with the right. Since I don't have that at first ladybug anymore, I'm going to have to change that. Okay. When I have my right, my ladybug moving to the right, I want him to look to the right. So right now that's set that way. But when we change it, we're going to have to change it back. So we're going to bring in that set animation. I don't have to add any if statements. Change bug to always look to the right. Okay. Same thing, key down for up. Bug now needs to look to up. All right, so if I run it, if I go push the up now, he'll look up or right. Okay, so you're going to need to do that with all 4 of your ladybugs that are in there. All right, and that kind of goes through, explains here as well. All right, that's it for lesson 12. We're going to have one more. We're going to start using mouse inputs as well as doing things a little bit differently in the next lesson. All right, we'll see you then.